Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing Channel. My name is Jakara, and I'm a spiritual healing facilitator. And I'm also opening up the space, my channel, to share basically stories from healers, people that I feel have done the inner work, and they're basically self healers or healing others through their gifts. And today I am super excited because I have a beautiful singer coming here to share her story. I met her through the ayahuasca ceremony that I mentioned on my previous video. And I was just so touched by her story. One of the things that she mentioned around how she found her voice really, really tugged at my heart, and I felt her story would probably help activate a lot of you. So, who I have here today is Julieta. She's a certified and experienced yoga instructor. She's a hypnotherapist, a sound healer, and she is a worldly intuitive, free spirited woman who combines her knowledge of the healing arts with her passion for music by uplifting the spirit with a unique voice and the variety of instruments from diverse cultures throughout the world, such as Native American flutes, the shruti box, the acoustic guitar, and more. She's passionate about inspiring deep transformation in others who seek to create new possibilities in their lives, using different tools to rebalance, refocus, and ground to regain control over the mind and the body. She is a citizen of the world. She has lived in many cities, including Buenos Aires, Barcelona, Miami, and Los Angeles. Her travel instilled in her a set of values that have shaped and guided her throughout her life. Understanding, compassion, community integrity, service, and love have led her to dedicate her career to deep transformation work through her healing arts and music. In her ceremonial music, she combines intertribal spiritual chants and icaros from all over the world while singing in different languages and with a variety of instruments, honoring and respecting all traditions, lineages, and medicinal plants. And I got to experience her beautiful magic live myself throughout this beautiful sacred space with Mama Aya and Taita Pedro with Pachamama Munai here in Central Florida. So without further ado, welcome Julieta. Thank you for saying yes to spending this time with me and to share your story. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here as well, sharing the space with you and everyone else. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, I do hypnotherapy. I do past life regressions. I also do Reiki and yoga and guided meditations and sound baths, and I do play for retreats. And it's my pleasure to be able to be of service in this way because I really I'm I'm just very profoundly touched with the transformational aspects of the self, and I really enjoy bringing to everyone.
So I just wanted to ask you about. I'm kind of curious to know about your roots, right? Like, tell me a little bit about your story, where you come from, your childhood, and what led you to get to where you are now.
Hmm. So I'm Argentinian, originally from there. I was born in Buenos Aires. But I've lived in many cities in many countries my whole life. So I feel like the biggest lesson for me during that whole journey was detachment. So how well I got to detach from places, people, things, clothing, whatever it was. So that's been a constant in my life. I don't know, it's because I'm Scorpio, maybe. My sign is all about transformation and death and rebirth, and that's what I've been experiencing my whole life. But I also lived, yes, so in the States, in Europe, I was in Spain, a little bit here and there in other countries. But currently I just moved from California 8 months ago. So I'm here in Miami with this new beautiful community, as you mentioned. There's so many magical people. Yes, and I would just say that my lineage and my background, well, it's definitely Italian, but then I also have some Native American from Argentina because I did my DNA test too. But I also know, like, from my dad's side, from my mom's side, her dad is Indian. So I feel like I have that in me. And whenever I play music in ceremonies or so, I definitely feel that very tribal root coming through. But yeah, so I'm a little bit a mix of everything. I always say I'm international. I'm from the world, but yes.
That's so cool to hear. I feel the same way about my own background. Like I have Italian on my dad's side, and then on my mom's side is, like the roots are African and Indian and East Indian. So I also feel like I am the like a citizen of the world. So I fully connect to your perspective of that, of living like that, and because you have so much running in your blood, so many things. So tell me a little bit about how was it for you growing up in Argentina? Like, how was your time growing up there?
So it was interesting because as soon as I was born, I was a few months old. And then with my mom, my sister, and my dad, we moved to California. We were there for a couple years, and then we moved to Miami for a couple years, and then we went back to Argentina. And I think I was there for 7 years. So from 5 to 11-ish or so, I was there, and I really connected with my family in Argentina, which was a great time it's beautiful how warmth I feel like Latin people in general are, but my family also, it's like very family oriented. So it was super beautiful to grow up there. But then I moved to Spain for a couple of years. I went to Costa Brava, a little town called Playa del. So I was there, and then moved back to Miami for a couple of years, and then I went on to Barcelona for 8 years. I was there studying. I did business marketing and PR. Not really much to do with what I do now, but I mean, in a way, it does because it's a way of like grounding whatever business I have. But and then I moved to California, and I was there for 12 years.
Wow. So, but it sounds like Miami seems to be like a spot for you to go back and ground.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's that spot where it always I always go back. So I mean, it's a beautiful place to be. I'm not gonna lie. I love the weather. I don't care what people say about humidity. I can handle it. If I can handle it, Tony, I can definitely handle the weather.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's so beautiful. So it sounds like you're home in Miami. Just based on what you're saying, it sounds like that's like your like home city. So I wanted to ask you about, of course, we met through the ayahuasca retreat, and you have taken the plant medicine before. And I kind of wanted to, I was curious about what led you to ayahuasca. Like, what was the ignition for you to actually say, okay, well, I want to take this medicine because such and such. Can you share a little bit about that background?
Yeah, of course. So how it all started, I feel like, well, first of all, I felt like I was very spiritual. I feel like I wasn't religious per se because I was raised Catholic, and I really never connected with religion and the church. And it was actually kind of creepy, and they were like, oh, you can't be bad or else you will go to hell. All of those things that didn't resonate with me. So I was, when I heard God, it was like very far off. Like I was like, oh God, no, I don't like the word. I don't believe in it, that whole thing. So I kind of grew up like that. But even though I didn't really know what spirituality was, I thought it was the church. I thought it was related to religion. But I've always later on noticed that I was very spiritual and always seeking that path of awareness and consciousness and the greater love, right? It wasn't until I moved to California where I had a shift in my life. So I was coming from Spain at that point, and this story is kind of crazy because I don't really tell anyone, but I want to tell it to everyone now. Why not? So I was in the plane when I had just landed in LAX, in the airport in Los Angeles. And literally, I've traveled all over the world my entire life. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I've never done anything really. So I was like very pure, if you want to call it that way. So I was just in the plane, and suddenly I feel this huge crazy energy coming through me. Like literally, I thought the plane shaked and moved, and I felt this energy coming through. and telling me that that's where I had to be. And I felt it with every cell of my body. I was looking around. I was like, did anybody feel that? Or was just, it was just so random, so weird. And it was right then when I knew that I had to move to LA. And it was a blessing, really, because I've had so many shifts in my life after that experience. Really, it changed my life in every way. I feel like I became independent in every sense and way, financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So it really guided me to a space where I could really go deep with myself and transform myself in the way that I chose to, right? So I feel that was the first like thing experience that happened to me. And then everything kind of like started falling into place as how it usually goes. And eventually I started, oh, yoga. LA is very spiritual too, in a way.
Yeah.
If you're not, but of course, if you're more on the west side, it has that vibe, that energy. So I started getting more into all these other modalities like yoga and meditation. And I was like, oh, this feels so good. And da da da. So I started exploring all these modalities. And then I came across with hypnotherapy and I was like, wow, this is like the real step for me to move to what I feel it's more of my calling and my essence, right? So I went into that where I could understand a little bit more how the mind works and how to reprogram habits and how to consciously move through life in a way. And so that I studied at HMI, which is Hypnosis Motivational Institute in Tarzana, California. So I did hypnotherapy and I did past life regression and NLP. So I was there and I met these three other girls. Well, I had other friends, but these three other girls were the ones that were kind of explaining to me like about ayahuasca. And I have heard it a year previously from my best friend, Maria. She's from Barcelona and she was telling me about it. But then I kind of like searched online. I just saw one video of people at night purging and like it felt like horrible. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna reach enlightenment in this way for sure because it doesn't look good to me, and I'm not about to. I don't like purging myself. So I was a little bit resistant, and it took me like a year. Like Mother Aya would come through me in different avenues, and I would be like, yeah, but no, like I'm sure I can reach other ways of getting where I need to go, right? But it kept coming, and then suddenly, just one day, when they mentioned there was this woman, Ishel Prisma, that she from the Golden Drum, which is amazing community, by the way. If you ever get to sit with them, I always highly recommend them. I it kind of everything aligned and I felt in my body because I'm very intuitive and I feel energies. I can tell you stories about that later, but like I feel energy. So I felt it in my being that I had to go to this ayahuasca retreat. And I would have never said yes before. And I felt my body, I felt that in every cell of my body. So I just went for it. And we all went together driving. And then that was literally life changing in my life. I cannot even express how deep it was. It was exactly what I was looking for, actually, without knowing that I was looking for that. It's kind of interesting. I always say it's like being born and dying, and then you have ayahuasca in the middle. So it's like for me, it's like that level of sacredness. And yeah, I literally died. I remember in that retreat, I died, but I've never been afraid of death per se. Like I always saw it natural and I loved it in a way. It might be my Scorpio, as I mentioned. So it might be that I'm just so used to it and I love it. And for me, it was a release, right? It was like, oh yeah, I'm dying. So I felt I was ending. And then I connected with aliens and it took me back to past lives. It was this whole journey that they healed every molecule, they cleaned every molecule and cell body and things would come up and I would just like it was this full on experience. It was more real than us right now looking around. It was even more real than that in those first experiences that I had. So it did change my life big time. And then it took me 9 months to really integrate because my intention, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into, was just to open my third eye. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I want to see, I want to experience, because I really didn't feel like I had anything tragic that happened in my life that I had to go revisit or clean. It was more of a pull that I've always been feeling, that pull. And I've always loved helping people, in awareness and consciousness and like changing their lives to a life that they choose to. So I've always been drawn to that since I was very little. I used to read all types of books related to that, like The Power of Now, Brian Weiss, Past Lives, and Dolores Cannon, and a lot of those. However, it took me 9 months to integrate. Really, I'm still integrating, but it took me 9 months to be like, whoa, that was really profound and really big. And even when I closed my eyes for 9 months, I would have visions. So literally, it really opened my third eye where I would just like go like this, blink, and I would have visions. So it was in a
Wow.
way kind of scary. I was like, is this ever going to go away? And yes, it's not go away. But it was this whole process where I started, and I would be very afraid to do the next one, but I didn't want to do it. Then whenever I felt like, oh, I need to go. And that's when I would go maybe like 3, 4 months after, whenever it aligns. And I was like some years, definitely sitting with the medicine for 5 years, like, going into my own process. And I would say like probably the second year of sitting with the medicine, that's when I had a vision. And I had a vision of an ukulele. What it looked like, an ukulele or a small guitar. I couldn't tell what it was. I really didn't know anything about music. I'm not gonna lie. I just knew do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, and stopped counting. I didn't know
Wow.
about instruments or how to play or scales or harmonies. Like I have no idea of anything. So, but I had the vision, and because I trust the medicine and I trust the universe, I went, and the following week I bought an ukulele, and then I started on YouTube. And I was so fond at that point of medicine songs because it was so beautiful, like beyond beautiful for me. Learn medicine songs. I just started, very little by little, and it was a whole journey. And then I feel like 2 years after that, a guitar came into my life. Like it's interesting for me because instruments kind of like make their way into my life. So I was like allowing that to happen. And then I started learning guitar, and then eventually I went on to the flutes, the drumming, um, just other the Shruti box was so special for me. I feel like every time I bring it to a ceremony, people haven't heard it. It's like, what is that magical box that is like the sound is insane? I'm like, I know. You should all get a Shruti box because it's the easiest instrument. You just pump and the air comes out. It's an air instrument, and it's just you can do this. You can just hum, you can you can just say whatever comes out. So it's been an experience, and the truth is, I would have never sang in front of anyone ever in my life. I was so shy about it. I had my throat chakra so close. I would just sing maybe in the shower or in my car if I was by myself.
Wow.
So it was a whole journey to get where. So I
That is
always
so
encourage
powerful.
everyone just open mind.
That is so powerful. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking about it's interesting how you were given this revelation of music through an instrument, and you have a beautiful voice. I mean, I feel like your voice is angelic codes coming through. It's just so angelic and beautiful. And feedback that I received from other people, how because when when we were in ceremony, we were inside a hall, but then we also had access outside to be outside by the fire pit. And but people who were inside, because you were inside playing the and singing, people were saying how as you were singing, their experience was being basically enhanced, like they were moving through energies. So so I wanted you to also share a little bit about that, because you before off the recording, you were mentioning how you connect to the medicine to actually channel this and shift. And I can tell you feedback from, like I said, people were feeling that shift that you were doing as you were singing, and you were you're basically connecting to the medicine. So can you share a little bit about that? Like, how is that process for you? Like, how do you get to the place where you can channel, and also be in the medicine? Because you were mentioning that it's like working with two type of energies right there. How does that work for you?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting, and it took me a while to navigate that aspect because I remember when I was sitting with the medicine, I would just wouldn't be able to move. I would just lay in the ground. I couldn't even open my eyes. I couldn't move my arms. I'm very sensitive to the medicine in general, to everything, but I'm very sensitive to the medicine. So for me, it was unthinkable to be able to play music, in the medicine. And so it's been a journey. And for me, music, it is ancient technology. So you actually don't even need medicine to really go deep, which is another type of technology. So for me, imagine if you put both together. So I understand because I've been there and how powerful music is and the sounds and the vibrations and how triggering and how like precise and perfect they come in ceremony. Like everyone has like the perfect ceremony and they're all in different places, but the music is like so important. So I'm honored to be able to bring that. Um, so for me, when I'm in service of others and I'm bringing the music through, I do take medicine because we all have to in the space. So, but I do take a little bit less than if I went in my own personal process. Otherwise, nobody would have music. That's the truth. So I'm glad I kind of like find that balance where I'm in tuned with the medicine, but I'm also um, channeling. So it's channeling and grounded enough where I can kind of redirect that energy that I feel and I hear. So it kind of comes as a knowing for me, like what's next. And I'm like, oh, this, and I feel it. So I kind of like move with it and I focus on my body to do that instead of going to wherever it wants to go because my body sometimes just moves in different ways and does different things. So it's just like bringing the focus, bringing the breath, and channeling that, what I'm hearing or feeling or sensing through. And because I know so many songs from intertribals and all over the world and different ages and stages and all of that and languages, and I love, so I have been studying that beautiful medicine music and chants and Icaros, and just bringing that through whenever I hear that something has to come through for me is just wonderful to be able to do that. But as I said, it took me a while to navigate that and to really find the right balance where I am grounded enough, but I'm also tapped into the medicine where I can kind of come both.
Mm. I wanted to ask you too. I'm kind of curious. Do you have like a set, or do you have like a maybe like an idea of a set that you want to do, or is it just fully like full on channel? Like I'm just gonna sit here and feel into the energy and just play the music that needs to be played at the moment, or do you have like do you like plan? Do you pre-plan the music?
So, is your question if I flow or if I plan? Because I know the internet got a little off. Is that
Yeah.
what you're trying?
Yes, yes. I was asking if you pre-plan, or is there like a combination of pre-planning and flowing, or is it just full flow? How does that work for you on the like on the back end?
That's interesting because it's both. So it is both in the sense that during the day, I might feel more attracted. Something might be calling me to like, oh, look at this page, or oh, this song, or maybe the week before that I haven't played a song in a while and then it just pops up. So it's kind of like tapping into the future in a way, or they're guiding me to where I'm going to need it. So it's interesting. So I would say, yes, I do practice, obviously, but because I love it, but also I feel like inclined to specific songs sometimes. And then it magically kind of like allows for it in the ceremony. And also, what I tap into that I really love is the space of creating whatever wants to be created in the moment. So, and I feel not a lot of people do that. And for me, it's super important to give spirit the space to communicate, just in the moment, not with a song, specific song, but sounds, people participating, because I'm all about that too. I obviously tune into it and I bring it, but then I feel like sometimes spirit even like guides me and be like that person, and I just like immediately look at that and I'm like, come, like here, and I give him thing, and he's like, I'm like, just whatever you feel, just do it. So sometimes my ceremonies are like with more people, just like participants that they happen to play something or tune into something, and it's like that communion of different forces and people that are bringing also into the ceremony. Or sometimes it's just weird sounds that come out from me, like I don't even really know what it is, so it's just allowing whatever sounds without judging. So that's very important, because we tend, and that's also me, like tend to judge. Oh, is this sounds beautiful, is it in tune, is it out of tune, is this correct, is this, oh, this wasn't very good. So leaving all that aside and letting the sound to come through from what it wants to come, because that sound that you might think was not good is exactly what was needed for something specific. So it's really important to allow what wants to come through to be, because it's what is happening, and therefore it's perfect by itself. So I do believe that there is a practice you need to do previously, because you need to kind of know what note you're, or what sound, have an awareness of what's happening, and knowing about the instrument. But then there's also this other side that's super special about just letting whatever happens to happen. So it's kind of trusting in both, working with both, right? With the feminine and the masculine, knowing when one comes and when the other one comes. So it's just like playing and letting them flow. So that's how I do my own ceremonies. Let's just put it that way.
That is so powerful. And when you talk about this, it also kind of reminds me of that essence of play. I feel like also giving ourselves permission to play, and like when you think about it, play music, the word play, just that in itself, right? It's such a joyful, it's supposed to be just putting you in a joyful state when you play music, right? So it's just like to play, to have fun, to just allow yourself to explore. So I wanted to ask you about, because part of the experience with you was also that invitation, right? To have us come in also at the end of the ceremonies to sing or to play an instrument, and to kind of like just allow ourselves to. Do you feel like that's also part of that integrating that healing with Mama Aya? Do you feel like that also helps, like for those people that maybe are a little shy to maybe like play an instrument or to sing? Do you feel like by them like taking the chance to play, and without like worrying about what people are thinking, but just to play, do you feel like that also enhances their experience, or their, I guess, their healing, in ceremony?
Definitely. I think definitely it's the practicum of the theory, right? It's like, how do you embody so many qualities that you already have within? Like the trusting, like of the opening of your heart, because you're sharing your voice. So it's a lot of lessons that are integrated also, and like allowing and giving you the chance to sing and to play, right? Because this is play. It's really not that serious. And that's what I've gotten from a lot of the ceremonies, is like how good at you're playing and having fun and laughing and singing. And that is life, really. It's how do you want to live that, or what glasses do you use to see your life? So it's just remembering that everything is playful. You can make it playful. You can do things without being so serious and like this is right and this is wrong, and just like, you know what, let's just laugh. And trust me, I've never um I never studied singing or instruments really, so it was more of a self-discovery of like enjoying and finding that fun. And like, and even when there's I mess up a note, or like I forget the lyric, and we're just like na 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 na, and you keep going, and there's so many lessons there where it's like, oh, don't stop, keep going, make it up. it's okay. You know,
Yeah.
like just keep going. And we're all cheering for you because as you've noticed in the circles, we're all cheering for everyone and we're all laughing. I even laugh. I look at Tiff and we're like, I don't know what I just did. And we're just, and you know, it's not a big deal. It's however you want to take things. So it's your choice at the end of the day. So we're training in a way for you to allow yourself just to be free and to sing and to laugh. Made that mistake, ha ha ha, how funny, and move on. Don't stay with that thought. So it's so many lessons that are hidden. And I always encourage everyone to participate. I'm like, this is your opportunity to really get out of your shell because I was like that. Oh, not even not singing, but I wouldn't even talk sometimes. Or when, you know, when the circle would come and I would have to express, like, say who I am and my intention, I would be so nervous. I wouldn't hear anything that anyone was saying and trying to think, like, oh, what's the right thing to say? How can I word it well? How am I going to do it? So I got so nervous of public speaking, let's just say, you know, not, I don't even want to say singing. That was a different level, you know? So it
Yeah.
took a while to get out of my own mind. It's really that no one's judging you. It's only you and your mind. So these are opportunities with the circles and the music to release those things, to really have fun and tap into that. Tap into the funness of just expressing and just, you know, sharing, and everyone's gonna love it. Like the truth is, nobody's ever gonna say, "Oh, that was horrible." I've never heard that in my life. All in your head, anyways. So it's like having that power, you know, of decision. You know, just saying, "No, I'm choosing to share, and I'm gonna share with my heart." So whatever I'm sharing, it's gonna be just fine. And you know what? It is fine because it is what's happening anyway. So you might as well accept what is happening and have fun while you're doing it. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, what's the point,
Yeah, I love
right?
that. I love that so much. It's such an invitation again to play and connect to that just joy, just connecting to that joy. And I feel like we need I feel that that's powerful medicine. You know, how you're saying music, it's its own technology. I completely agree with you. Like something that I can share with you in regards to music, me growing up, I used to listen to music and I grew up as an as an only child, and that was I had that's what I had most of the time was music, and it's so healing. It's so healing to sing and to dance alongside with the music. It moves so much energy for you, and so I can definitely see the benefits. Like I've experienced those benefits myself, and I love that you're the intention that you're using for your music is so medicinal, and that's one thing that I just loved so much about just being able to witness and experience your medicine in such a beautiful sacred space. And I just wanted to share with the audience here that Julieta is she is basically she's created a album, and I kind of wanted to ask you about this. I got to listen to it, and I oh my gosh, I've been playing it. I've been playing it nonstop. I'm not gonna lie, because it takes me into this beautiful sacred space, and I just want to be in sacredness all the time, just because I just love that. But I kind of wanted to ask you about the process for you. How was that process of creating that album, and you know what was the inspiration for the whole body of the work that you created, that is so beautiful. And I'm gonna make sure that I leave the link on the description below for people to listen. You gotta listen to this. It's such a beautiful album.
Okay, I think it cut off a little bit, so I'm not sure, but I think I got your question.
Yeah.
So the experience creating that album and came along, right? So for me, so for me, because you know, ever since I had that vision in ayahuasca about the ukulele, and I've just connected so much with medicine songs that I've been hearing so many and singing along and like being able to share in medicine and ceremonies. I just felt like there was something deeper that I wanted to share, and because it connects so much with me, and I had so many creative ideas of how to bring that sacredness and those messages out, that I just everything kind of aligned, to be honest. Like I had the producer of the album that also sings in the songs a little bit, and everything just kind of aligned. And just being able to, even though it's not original, so it is original in the arrangements and the instruments and stuff, but the lyrics, like mantras and like some medicine songs, are from many years. And it's just, the message was so powerful that I really felt like the message and the melody and the arrangements that we did, it was so beautiful. I just really wanted to share that with everyone. And because people usually ask me in ceremonies, like, do you have music? Do you have an album? Can I listen to that? What's the song that you played? Can you send me this one? So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create an album, and I'm just going to give that gift to everyone, to for them to connect whenever they want. And if they want to use it for meditations and yogas or sacred spaces, like, I'm just so happy to be able to share this medicine that connects so much with me. And I know how important it is with me, to me. So I just want to give that to everyone. And in a way, think of it as a legacy, right? So what am I gifting to the world? So maybe if this can help anyone, then I truly, definitely want to share this. So having this said, I'm thinking of doing my second album, but it's going to be original songs. So it's still in the process. I know the first one is called Águila Real, which, by the way, the name came in a ceremony not too long ago. It was like a month or two ago. The name came because I was thinking, I was like, well, what should I name this album? I have no idea. And it just like came like straight down. It's like Águila Real, which is royal eagle. And that's my symbology. Every time I go into ceremonies, I see the eagle. That's like my spirit animal that's always with me. And then the triangle and the eye, that's something that's always there. It's like the oneness, the God, the unity, the all that encompasses everything. So that's why the image of the album, it's literally the eagle, the Egyptian eagle, which I connect with Egypt a lot too, and the pyramid or the triangle with the eye in there. And then just, so that's the whole creative process behind the album as well. But for my next album, I really do want to connect with source and just see what wants to be created. I've been having some ideas, so I usually just grab my phone and record. I'm sometimes just playing with my guitar, and melodies come and like lyrics come, and I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful. So hopefully, I don't know when, but I might be creating a new one, like original one. But so far, Águila Real is the name of the album. It's called Raíces, which means roots. So it's Royal Eagle and then Roots. That's the name of the group. It's Royal Eagle, Águila Real.
Aguila Real. That is so powerful, and I absolutely love the album. I cannot get enough of it, and again, it takes me back to ceremony. So I'm gonna leave the link, like I mentioned before, for those of you who want to listen to Julieta's magical energy. And connect to, or even if you've already taken Mama Aya and you've been in her presence, and maybe you don't know how to connect to her music, then you'll be able to get into it with the link. So now that we're reaching the end of this conversation, I just wanted to just ask you, how can people stay in touch with you? How can people be aware of where you're going to be, especially if they want to experience your magic live after, of course, they connect to your album? Maybe they want to really connect to you, live and connect to that beautiful essence. How can they keep up with what you're doing?
Beautiful. So yes, I'm in social media, of course, as everyone else nowadays. So I'm in Instagram, Julieta Ferrero, which we probably can add it later on. And I also have my website that is under construction right now, but it's Julieta dash, like a little dash, Ferrero.com. So, but usually people follow me on Instagram, to be honest, and I'm always telling them every cacao or mushroom ceremony or yoga event, full moon, new moons. I also do hypnotherapy one-on-one sessions through Zoom. I have international clients as well, or past life regressions one-on-one. So all of that, pretty much I'm very close to people. So if you text me through social media, I'm going to answer. And then I also have my email if you need to reach out for any reason. So it's Julieta Ferrero at hotmail.com. Um, or I also have another one at Gmail, but the one Hotmail I use more often for everything. And yes, definitely. I feel like I'm also on YouTube, so you can check me out there. There's so many avenues to reach out to me. So email, YouTube, Instagram, my website. Yeah, and I'm happy to be able to share. I know there's some people that have asked me to play at their weddings or birthday parties, and other ceremonies, or even I lead mushroom ceremonies too. So I I I, I create those spaces for healing as well.
Oh, that's powerful. That's so beautiful. We definitely have to connect about that, the mushroom ceremonies. So, one before I let you go though, I do want to ask you, before we started the conversation and started recording, you gave me three things to at least recognize what's happening whenever we are in the medicine, or how we can apply that in in the process of integration. So if you can share those things for people, maybe for somebody who's already worked with the medicine but has a hard time integrating, or maybe somebody who's never worked with it but maybe these tips can help. I'd love for you to share those just before we go. Those last three tips, please.
Of course, I love that. And I always tell that before ceremony to everyone. These tips would have been so helpful at the beginning of my ceremonies, right? But eventually I got them through messages and stuff. And I've been applying them not only in ceremony, but also in my own life. And they are life changers as well. So these tips are for your ceremonies, but also for your daily lives, for every situation or circumstance that you're not feeling you're centered. Okay. So the first thing is trust the process. So trust that whatever is happening in the ceremony, whether it's good or bad, and I do this because it's just polarities, just trust that it's for your greater good and for the greater good of everyone. And whatever you're going through, you have to experience sometimes to understand it from a different level and perspective. So that takes me to the second one, which is allow. Allow whatever is happening to happen because it's happening. And going against that is just nuts. So you might as well understand the gift, what is giving you. So you're allowing whatever you're feeling to feel it, to let it go, to accept, to embrace. So whatever it is, allow. And this also takes me to, because the allowing part don't really understand it until they're in ceremonies. So I'm going to give a good tip for that. Whenever you're looking out and you're like, or shaking, or like trying to get away from the experience, instead of focusing and breathing and relaxing your body, that's also a physicality or trying to resist. So allowing is just to feel and breathe. So breathe. That takes me to the third one, the breath. Breathe. Whatever is happening, just breathe. It's fine. Everything shall pass. So the only constant is change, right? We all know that. So allow the moment to be the moment so you can understand something and you can integrate something. You can embrace, accept, and love something you're not allowing. You're resisting. So that's why it's so important to really breathe through it. So trust the process. Um, Allow whatever's happening to happen. And the third one is breathe through it. So there's also will take you in a good destination or journey through your daily lives. And that's only for ceremony. What I also add when it's happening in your life, just as a hypnotherapist, because I treat with clients and they have, the main problems are always relationships. And that's really what it is in life. It's always relationships with yourself or with others. So it's just really being aware of, if you're not centered and you're not in peace and you're not in harmony, that you're not centered. So you need to come back to your center. And we're talking about awareness because we're not running around unconsciously with our programs and just like reacting to everyone and like purging on everyone. Like I always say, purge in your own bucket. So it's the same for your life. You don't want to be purging on people. So you want to control your emotions in your mind, which is tied with your mind. So you bring awareness to the moment. If I'm not in peace and harmony and in balance, I'm not doing my work. So what is the work? Bring awareness to every moment. The second one is to focus on your breath. So we focus on the breath to come back to our center. And then if there's a situation that you're not liking what they're saying to you, or they're treating, or whatever they're saying that it's bothering you, which is triggering you, so you have the trigger, okay? So that's when you learn how to contain the space. So you listen actively and you contain. So what does that mean? I'm allowing the other person to express their point of view, even if it's against me and they don't like it and I don't like it. I'm still allowing that person to go through their purge. You see, they're just purging. So, how good are you at holding space? We need to learn how to come back to our center where nothing can move us because we're so rooted, we're so grounded, we're so in tune with our core that nothing will move us. So that's the real practice. How good at you are maintaining that balance in your mind and in your emotions. How good at you breathing through that. It's just like the medicine. The medicine is going to come and it's going to shake you, and you're going to be like, oh no, I don't want this. I want to go away. Why did I do this? I should have never come. You know, all these things that happen somewhere. It's like, but you're not understanding the biggest lesson, which is, can you breathe through it? How good at you are that? How you are you focused on the happen to happen? How good are you are holding space, which that's something that I do also in ceremony. I hold space for others to go through their own process without judging, without saying, oh, you're doing this wrong. Oh, why are you throwing this at me? Oh, why are you? No, let me do me. Let me focus on my own state, and then I can help others. And that's how you train. You train daily with these tools. So those are the tools that I always like to give to everyone. And the best homework that I give everyone is meditate. That's gonna bring you to the reality of the moment, which is everything is perfect. And once you're in your center with your meditative practice, because it's a practice, you can only be what you want to be through practice, not by saying. I cannot say I want to be strong all the every day and not go to the gym. I know how to do it, but I'm not doing it. So the practice is what's going to get you to where you want to be. So awareness, focus on the breath, and holding space. Hold space, and then you can respond in a different way, in a more conscious way to other people, and redirect. Because if you see where they are, you understand that they're in another level. So let me see that you're purging, and let me help you, not by giving you more anger and hate. Let me help you by redirecting the energy where I see that you're dealing with something. What is my intention with that? So my intention is, how can I help you go through that? Maybe. Do you understand? So those are little things that sometimes we're not aware.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing these beautiful tips. I know I needed to hear it for sure, and I'm sure that a lot of people that are gonna watch this are gonna take so much out of this and be able to apply it in their lives. And thank you for your generous and open heart to share so many tips with us and so much of your story. I am so grateful for you showing up today and just basically just sharing the space and time with me. I'm just so happy that we got to connect, that we got to just share your story, and hopefully we get to come back when you create your new album, and then maybe like even discuss how that process is developing for you in the future. So thank you so much, Julieta, for being here, and yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jakara. Really, this is such a beautiful thing you're doing. And I'm so grateful that you're here also doing this for everyone to expand your consciousness and to create the life they're seeking for, right? And for sure, you're going to have me whenever you want. I'm happy to be here and share space with you
Yay.
and bring all the beautiful messages that I can and all the best tips that have worked for me. And yeah, just to keep bringing that love to everyone, right? And that encouragement and that wisdom. That, by the way, everyone already has and knows. So these are just reminders.
Right, yes, and that's what I love about this. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Namaste, my beautiful
Namaste,
friend.
sister.